So you understand the protocols here, ma'am. It's just standard procedure. A little smile playing on his lips. Officer Miller. Badge number glinting under the convention center lights. Jasmine Crockett just holds his gaze. A slow blink. She understands procedure. She writes procedure sometimes. She simply nods once. He continues, leaning in slightly, voice lowered conspiratorially. Just making sure everyone's on the same page. Wouldn't want any confusion, especially with everything going on these days. The everything going on hangs there, unsaid, heavy. A few people in the line behind her shift their weight. Murmurs ripple. Jasmine's aide, Maya, takes a half step forward, tense. Jasmine gives a tiny shake of her head, almost imperceptible. I understand completely, officer. Is there something specific you need clarification on? Her voice is even, calm, almost unnervingly so. He straightens up, the smile tightening, a professional mask snapping back into place. No, just thorough. You know how it is. Can I just see your event credentials again, please? He'd checked them 30 seconds ago, thoroughly. She doesn't sigh, doesn't roll her eyes. She simply reaches into her bag, retrieves the laminated pass, and holds it out. He takes it, makes a show of examining it again. Front, back, holds it up to the light. Like it might have spontaneously changed legitimacy in the last minute. The line behind them is longer now, restless. A woman mutters, loud enough to be heard, "This is ridiculous." Officer Miller's head snaps toward the sound, a flash of irritation. He turns back to Jasmine, handing the credential back with a little flourish. All right seems legitimate, for now. For now. The air crackles. Jasmine takes the pass, her fingers brush his. He pulls his hand back a little too quickly. Thank you, officer. She meets his eyes again. Is there anything else? Or are we permitted to enter the community forum? The question hangs there, permitted. He gestures vaguely toward the entrance, a flick of the wrist. Yeah, go ahead. Try to keep the energy calm in there, all right? We don't need any scenes. He's talking to her like she's a potential problem, a disruption waiting to happen. Not a congresswoman, not a respected voice. Jasmine doesn't respond to that. She just turns smoothly and walks toward the doors. Maya follows, practically vibrating with held-back frustration. The crowd parts slightly as they pass. Some nod respectfully, others just watch, eyes wide. They can feel it too, the charge in the air, the disrespect disguised as duty. Part 2. Inside, the room is buzzing. Community leaders, residents, local press. A panel is set up at the front. Jasmine takes her designated seat, greets the other panelists with quiet professionalism. She can feel eyes on her, people who saw the exchange at the door. She smooths the front of her jacket, takes a sip of water, composed. But underneath, there's a low hum, the echo of his words, for now, keep the energy calm. It wasn't just procedure, it was a reminder of perceived place, of who holds the immediate, visible power. She pushes it down, focuses on the agenda, housing shortages, school funding, the reason they're all here. The forum begins, opening remarks, introductions. She listens intently, makes notes. Her face is neutral, engaged. But she's aware of the periphery, the security presence. Officer Miller is near the back, arms crossed, watching, not the room, her. It's a subtle pressure, a deliberate monitoring. She remembers being a kid, her grandfather, a proud man, pulled over for driving while black. The way the officer spoke to him, polite on the surface, acid underneath, the forced deference, the quiet rage that followed them home, never forgotten, that feeling of being watched, judged, found wanting before you even spoke. She learned early, calmness is armor, precision is a weapon. The moderator turns to her. Congresswoman Crockett, your perspective on the proposed zoning changes. She leans into the microphone, clear, concise, laying out the legal implications, the community impact. Her voice doesn't waver, doesn't betray the lingering static from the doorway encounter. She speaks about equity, about fair access, about laws designed to protect, not obstruct. As she speaks, she sees him shift. Officer Miller uncrosses his arms, takes a step closer to the side wall, still watching. Is he listening to her words, or just her tone, judging her energy? The thought is a distraction. She pushes it away again, stays on point. Data precedent, human impact. The audience is leaning in, listening, nodding. She finishes her point, leans back slightly. The moderator thanks her, moves to the next panelist. A ripple of applause, genuine appreciation for the clarity. From the back, Miller's expression is unreadable, but his posture seems tighter, less relaxed. The power dynamic is starting to shift, not through confrontation, but through competence, through her refusal to be diminished. Part 3. The Q&A session starts. Hands shoot up across the room. Questions about displacement, gentrification, police-community relations. The temperature is rising. People are passionate. Voices are getting louder. Jasmine answers calmly, factually, acknowledging the frustration but guiding the conversation back to solutions, policy, action. A man stands up. His voice shakes slightly with emotion. He talks about his son, stopped repeatedly. Harassed, he says, for nothing, just walking home. He asks the panel, what are you doing about that? About the feeling that some of us are always suspects. The room is quiet, waiting. The moderator looks down the panel. It's a tough question, laden. Before anyone else can jump in, Jasmine leans forward again. Thank you for sharing that. It takes courage. And I hear the pain in your voice. It's a pain shared by too many families. She pauses, lets the weight of it settle. It's not just about individual incidents. It's systemic. It's about accountability, yes, but it's also about changing the culture. Training, de-escalation, implicit bias recognition. It requires constant vigilance from lawmakers, from departments, and from the community holding us all accountable. She looks directly at the man. We have to address the root causes, not just the symptoms. And that means acknowledging the disparity in experiences. Your son's experience is valid. It matters. Her delivery is empathetic but firm. No platitudes, just direct acknowledgement. Across the room, Officer Miller shifts again. He runs a hand over his jaw. His eyes narrow slightly. Is he seeing a critique, a threat? He probably hears implicit bias and thinks accusation. The man who asked the question nods slowly, sits down. The tension in his shoulders seems to ease slightly. He was heard. Another question, then another. Then a hand goes up near the back. Officer Miller. The moderator hesitates. Yes, officer, do you have a question for the panel? It's unusual. Security usually observes, not participates. Miller walks forward slowly, takes the microphone offered by an event staffer. The room is suddenly very still. He clears his throat. That charming smile is back, but it doesn't reach his eyes. Yes, thank you. This is directed at the Congresswoman. He gestures towards Jasmine with the mic. Congresswoman, you talk a lot about systemic issues, implicit bias, accountability. He pauses. It's easy to talk about these things in theory from up there. He gestures vaguely at the stage. But we're the ones on the ground, dealing with reality, split-second decisions, real danger. His voice is reasonable, measured, the voice of pragmatic authority. Don't you think focusing so much on potential bias undermines the difficult job officers do? Maybe even puts them at greater risk, makes them hesitate when they should. It's a classic deflection, framing accountability as a threat to safety, pitting reform against officer well-being. The air feels thin. Everyone is watching Jasmine, waiting. How does she answer the uniform, the authority, the implied accusation? Part 4. Jasmine lets the question hang for a beat. She doesn't look away from him. Her expression is steady, neutral. Thank you for your question, officer, and for your service. Starting with acknowledgement, disarming the defensiveness. She continues, her tone shifting subtly, becoming more precise. Accountability and officer safety are not mutually exclusive. In fact, I believe they are deeply intertwined. A slight murmur from the audience, intrigued. When communities trust the police, officers are safer. Trust is built on fairness, on transparency, on the belief that everyone is treated equitably under the law. She leans forward slightly. Addressing implicit bias isn't about accusing every officer of wrongdoing. It's about recognizing that we all carry unconscious assumptions that can impact our decisions, especially under pressure. Acknowledging it is the first step to mitigating it. Her gaze is direct, unflinching. Wouldn't you agree that better training, which includes understanding bias, actually equips officers to make better decisions in those split-second moments? Decisions that are both effective and just. She's turned his question back on him, framed accountability as a tool for better policing, not a hindrance. Miller's smile flickers, just for a second. He opens his mouth, perhaps to argue, but she continues smoothly. Hesitation born from uncertainty is dangerous. Hesitation born from considering the humanity of the person in front of you, regardless of their background, is responsible policing. We should be striving for the latter. The room is utterly silent now. You could hear a pin drop. He's still holding the microphone, but he seems unsure what to do with it. He clears his throat again. Well, that's an idealistic perspective, Congresswoman. Reality on the streets is different. Idealism, she tilts her head slightly. Is it idealistic to expect the Constitution to be applied equally? Is it idealistic to strive for a justice system that doesn't disproportionately impact certain communities? I believe that's the baseline. That's the job. Her voice remains calm, but the words land like stones. The audience is frozen, watching the exchange like a tennis match, but the ball is only landing on one side of the court. Miller shifts his weight. The confident posture is faltering. He looks around the room, perhaps seeking support, but all eyes are on him, and they're not smiling. He tries a different tack. Look, I just think sometimes people are too quick to judge, to assume the worst about law enforcement. We're just trying to keep people safe, including you. The implication is there again. Be grateful, don't criticize. Jasmine gives another slow blink, processing. She doesn't respond immediately, lets the silence stretch. The power is shifting palpably. Her composure is amplifying his discomfort. Finally, she speaks, her voice softer now but carrying immense weight. Officer, when you suggest that acknowledging bias is idealistic, or that seeking accountability undermines safety, it makes it harder for communities to trust. It makes interactions like the one we had at the door feel less like procedure and more like scrutiny. She didn't raise her voice, didn't accuse, she just stated the impact. His face tightens. A muscle jumps in his jaw. He knows exactly what she means. The credential check, the for now, the keep the energy calm. He's been called out, quietly, devastatingly, in front of everyone. Part 5. He grips the microphone tighter. My interaction with you was purely professional. Standard security protocol for a high-profile event. His voice is defensive now. The charm gone, replaced by brittle justification. Jasmine nods slowly. I understand protocol, officer. The simplicity of it, the echo of her earlier words. It highlights the absurdity of his prolonged check, his condescending tone. The audience sees it, hears it. A low murmur starts, uncomfortable laughter from a few, quickly silenced. He continues, trying to regain control. We have to be vigilant. With everyone, it's not personal. Not personal. She lets the words sit there. Is it standard protocol to imply someone might cause a scene? Is it standard protocol to recheck credentials unnecessarily? Is it standard protocol to comment on someone? Energy. She doesn't ask these questions aloud. She doesn't need to. Her silence asks them for her. Her steady gaze holds him accountable. He looks trapped. The microphone feels heavy in his hand. He glances towards the moderator, maybe hopping for an intervention. The moderator looks resolutely down at their notes. No rescue coming from there. He turns back to Jasmine. Look, Congresswoman, I think my point is being misconstrued. A classic backpedal, blaming the listener's understanding. Jasmine offers a small, almost imperceptible shake of her head. No, officer, I believe your point was quite clear. The finality in her tone, no room for spin. He opens his mouth, closes it. The silence stretches, awkward, heavy. He's used to controlling interactions, setting the tone, ending the conversation. He can't do that here. She waits patiently, letting him feel the weight of the room's attention. He finally lowers the microphone, avoids her eyes. Thank you for your perspective, Congresswoman. It's mumbled stiff. He turns abruptly, hands the mic back to the staffer. Walks back towards his position near the wall, faster this time. His face is flushed, his movements jerky. The mask hasn't just cracked, it's shattered. The audience watches him go, then all eyes snap back to Jasmine. She hasn't moved, hasn't smiled in triumph. She simply takes another sip of water, composed as ever. But the room feels different, the air has cleared. A quiet strength has asserted itself, not through volume but through truth. A woman in the front row catches Jasmine's eye, nods slowly, a look of deep respect. The Q&A continues, but the energy has shifted. The encounter hangs over the rest of the session. Part 6. The forum concludes, polite applause, panelists gather their things. People immediately start talking, hushed tones but urgent. Did you hear that? The way she just handled him. Unbelievable. Several people approach Jasmine, not just for handshakes or policy talk. Thank you, Congresswoman, for saying that. Thank you for standing firm. My son, he went through something similar, thank you. She accepts the comments graciously, a brief nod, a quiet word of thanks. No grandstanding, no victory lap. Meyer is nearby, eyes shining. A silent, proud acknowledgement passes between them. As Jasmine moves towards the exit, she sees him again, Officer Miller. He's talking to another officer, head down, gestures sharp, angry. He looks up as she approaches. Their eyes meet for a fraction of a second. He looks away first, quickly. Jasmine continues walking, head held high, calm. Outside the convention center, the air is cooler, but the buzz continues. Cell phones are out, people are clustered in groups, talking, sharing. A young woman is looking at her phone, eyes wide. She shows it to her friend. It's already online. What is? That exchange, someone filmed it, the part with the officer. It's short, shaky phone footage, capturing Miller's question, Jasmine's calm, precise responses, the final, devastating silence. The clip focuses on his faltering confidence, her unwavering composure. The title someone gave it, Congresswoman Crockett School's Officer on Bias and Policing. It's catching fire, likes, retweets, shares, multiplying by the second. The comments are flooding in. Wow, just wow. That silence was loud. He thought he had her, he was wrong. This is how you handle power with grace. Jasmine Crockett, quiet power, accountability. Someone else posts a slightly longer version, including the initial credential check comments. For now, keep the energy calm. Context makes it even more damning. The narrative is forming online, instantly, irrevocably. Disrespect, condescension, calm, factual shutdown. The power of the uniform versus the power of truth. Jasmine gets into her car. Maya slides in beside her. Maya checks her phone, looks at Jasmine. It's going viral, like really viral. Jasmine sighs softly, leans her head back against the seat for just a moment. Not surprise, resignation, recognition. This is the world now, every interaction potentially public, every power imbalance potentially exposed. She closes her eyes briefly, thinks of her grandfather again, wishes he could have seen this, not the disrespect, the response, the shift. Okay, she opens her eyes, focused again. Let's go. We have work to do. The car pulls away, leaving the buzzing crowd, the flashing phones, the unfolding digital storm behind. But it's not over, it's just beginning. Part 7. The next morning, it's everywhere. The shaky phone clip is replaced by crisper footage from local news cameras that were present. It leads local broadcasts, gets picked up by national outlets. Cable news panels dissect the exchange. Body language experts weigh in, pundits argue. Officer Miller is trending, not in a good way. His name is out there now. His department is identified. The pressure mounts instantly. Tweets fly fast and furious. From @Civil Rights Now. This is a masterclass in handling condescension rooted in bias. Watch Rep. Crockett dismantle the officer's argument without raising her voice. #Power is not loud. From @Blue Line Support, counter-narrative attempt. Officer Miller was asking legitimate questions about safety concerns, being blown out of proportion by anti-police activists. Back the blue. But the counter-narrative isn't sticking. The video evidence is too clear. His demeanor shifts too obviously. Her points land too precisely. From @Legal Eagle Eye. Note Crockett's legal precision, framing accountability as essential for safety, not opposed to it. Turns the common deflection tactic on its head. Brilliant. From @Community Voice. This is what we mean when we talk about microaggressions and systemic bias. It's not always overt. It's the tone, the doubt, the for now. Thank you Rep. Jasmine Crockett for showing it. Podcasts drop emergency episodes. The Crockett-Miller moment. Analyzing the power dynamics, the racial undertones, the gendered aspect of a male officer trying to publicly diminish a black woman in power. Think pieces appear online. The Washington Post, Slate, The Root. The quiet strength of Jasmine Crockett. When calmness becomes a superpower. Policing's bias problem caught on camera. Jasmine's office phones are ringing off the hook. Media requests, statements of support, offers to speak. She maintains her public composure, issues a brief, measured statement. Yesterday's exchange highlighted the importance of ongoing dialogue about bias, accountability, and trust between law enforcement and the communities they serve. Progress requires acknowledging uncomfortable truths and committing to systemic improvement. My focus remains on the legislative work to achieve that. No gloating, no personal attacks, just reaffirming the principle. It only amplifies the contrast with the officer's visible fluster. Inside the police department, the atmosphere is tense. Phones ringing there too, calls from the mayor's office, community groups demanding action, internal affairs reviewing the footage. Officer Miller is likely on desk duty, waiting. The pressure cooker is on high. He thought he was asserting authority. Instead, he became a meme, a symbol of exactly the problem Jasmine was discussing. The irony is thick and inescapable. Part 8. The pressure intensifies exponentially. The local news station finds footage of the entire interaction. From Jasmine arriving, the double credential check, the for now, the keep the energy calm, all the way through the Q&A confrontation. Played in sequence, it's undeniable. A pattern of subtle then overt disrespect. The police chief schedules a press conference. The anticipation is palpable. Will they defend him, double down, try to minimize? The cameras are rolling. The chief steps up to the podium, looks uncomfortable, reads from a prepared statement. We have reviewed the footage and the public commentary surrounding the interaction between Officer Miller and Congresswoman Crockett at yesterday's community forum. He pauses, takes a breath. The standards of professionalism and respect expected of our officers were not fully met in this instance. A collective intake of breath from the reporters. It's an admission. While security protocols are necessary, the tone and nature of parts of the interaction were inappropriate and demonstrated a lack of judgment. He doesn't mention bias explicitly, but tone and nature and judgment are doing heavy lifting. Officer Miller understands the gravity of this situation and the public perception it has created. Another pause, the crucial part. He has expressed remorse for his handling of the situation and wishes to apologize publicly. Wow, an apology, forced perhaps but public. The chief continues, outlining steps. Mandatory retraining for Miller, a department-wide review of bias training protocols, renewed commitment to community relations. Damage control, but also a concession, a win for accountability, however small, however prompted by viral outrage. Then he steps aside, and Officer Miller walks to the podium. His face is pale, jaw tight, eyes downcast. The swagger from the convention center is completely gone. He looks smaller somehow, diminished, not by yelling or overt attack, but by the quiet weight of documented truth. He clears his throat, grips the sides of the podium, looks up not at the cameras but somewhere over them. Part 9. His voice is strained, almost unrecognizable from the confident tone of the day before. I want to address my interaction with Congresswoman Crockett. He swallows hard, reads stiffly from a paper. My intention was to ensure event security. However, I recognize that my words and actions were perceived as disrespectful and unprofessional. Perceived as still hedging slightly, but the pressure is immense. I understand how my comments, particularly during the Q&A session, could be interpreted as challenging her position inappropriately. Could be interpreted, the careful language of a statement vetted by lawyers and superiors. He glances up quickly, a flicker of the old defensiveness or just nerves. For that, I apologize. The words hang there, flat, required. I apologize to Congresswoman Crockett. I apologize to the community members present. And I apologize to my fellow officers for bringing negative attention to the department. It feels rehearsed, thin, but it's happening on camera for the world to see. He finishes quickly, steps back from the podium even faster, almost fleeing the spotlight. The chief steps back up, takes a few questions, repeats the commitments to training and review. The press conference ends. Online, the reaction is immediate and divided. Some accept the apology, however grudging, a step better than denial. Others call it insufficient, forced, doesn't address the core bias, reading from a script. Forced apology not enough, read the room Miller. But the dominant feeling is something else, a sense of consequence. Actions have repercussions. Disrespect, even veiled, can be called out. Power can be held accountable. Jasmine Crockett's response to the apology is brief, released through her office. I acknowledge Officer Miller's statement. Accountability is essential for rebuilding trust. I hope the promised training and departmental reviews are thorough and lead to meaningful change. The focus must remain on ensuring equitable treatment for everyone. Again, measured, focused on the systemic, elevating the conversation beyond the personal. She doesn't gloat, doesn't dunk, doesn't need to. Her victory wasn't in forcing an apology. It was in revealing a truth, in shifting the power dynamic through composure and clarity. The apology is just the fallout, the ripple effect. Part 10. Weeks later, the immediate frenzy has died down, but the ripples continue. The clip is still shared, used in training seminars both for law enforcement, what not to do, and for advocacy groups, how to stand your ground. It becomes a reference point. Remember the Crockett takedown. Jasmine Crockett's national profile rises. She's invited onto more shows, asked to speak on justice reform, recognized as a voice that combines policy depth with lived experience. Her calm demeanor in the face of condescension becomes her trademark, a quiet power. Officer Miller fades from public view, completes his retraining, returns to duty likely under close supervision, forever marked by the viral moment, a cautionary tale whispered in roll calls. The department does implement new training modules. Whether they create deep change remains to be seen. It's a slow process, incremental. But something shifted. The public saw clearly how authority can be misused, even subtly, how bias can hide behind a badge and a smile. They saw how composure, sharp intelligence, and a refusal to be baited can dismantle that facade without resorting to anger. It wasn't a shouting match. It wasn't a dramatic confrontation in the typical sense. It was a slow burn, a steady application of pressure through truth. Jasmine Crockett never raised her voice. She didn't need to. Her power came from her stillness, her precision, her unwavering gaze that said, "I see you. I understand the dynamic you're trying to impose, and I reject it." The final scene isn't the apology. It's the lingering silence after her last response to him in that room. The moment everyone knew the exchange was over, long before he walked away. It's the uncomfortable respect settling in the room. The recognition that true authority doesn't always wear a uniform. Sometimes it speaks quietly, holds its ground, and lets the truth do the heavy lifting. The video eventually fades from the top of feeds, but the impact resonates in conversations about race, power, policing, respect. In the way people watch interactions, question authority, recognize the subtle codes of bias. No final call to action needed. The story itself is the message. The quiet triumph, the public reckoning, the enduring echo. Just resonance,